But our next guest is bullish, saying cloud adoption is at an inflection point. For more, joining us now is Brian Nowak. He's senior internet analyst at Morgan Stanley. So, Brian, some strong data points on AI investment from Meta and from Microsoft last night. Amazon's a little bit of a different story and a big tariff overlay here.
That's right. No, thanks for having me, Kelly. As always, I think that one of the things that really sort of stands out from Meta and even to a certain extent Microsoft, which is covered by Keith Weiss on our software team, the companies that are really delivering material incremental revenue or really ROIC from these early Gen AI investments are being rewarded by investors. In the case of Meta, what we're seeing is they're rolling out larger models across their platform. Engagement is growing. The performance of their advertising business is improving. The ad business is proving more durable through a lot of macro uncertainty. And so the market is saying, yeah, they're still investing in CapEx. They're still building out more generative AI data centers, but we're actually getting a lot of return from it. And it's coming through the models and through the cash flow as soon as 2025.
All right. So if Amazon is in that kind of strong position, what does it do now with all of the political backlash? And a lot of people, even on the right, saying, hey, I'd love you to tell me how much of this is tariffs. Why don't you tell me which of my products are made in America and so forth? So it doesn't feel like this issue is going away.
No, I think, the generative AI aspect of Amazon, I feel pretty confident in sort of how we think about the reasonable range of outcomes for AWS growth and all the improvements that they're making to the core retail business. That part is actually a little bit easier, in air quotes, to sort of put guardrails around. The tariff pieces are the more important parts that we're looking for more color tonight out of Amazon management. I think it's important that the management team talks about what steps are you taking to proactively manage the business, manage your inventory, manage your sellers, just to ensure that you have enough supply and you have the right inventory to have a successful Prime Day, to have a successful Thanksgiving, and to have a successful holiday season. So, the guidance and sort of the numbers for the second quarter are going to be one factor tonight. But really, I think from an Amazon perspective, for the market to feel more comfortable in what 2025 earnings and 2026 earnings can look like, the management team sort of needs to help us understand what steps they are taking to proactively manage their global network to sort of manage through tariff uncertainty.
Well, the top story on Tuesday was this, I'll call it Amazon Gate, where basically, the story came out that they were thinking about putting sort of a price increase notification to some customers on the bulk side or whatever it might be. They very quickly walked that back, Brian. I'm not asking you to dig into that story, but does that kind of show you the political pressure and risk that Amazon is constantly under being as big as it is?
No, it does speak to all of the multiple moving parts behind Amazon's global network. As one example, by our estimates, we think that about 30% of Amazon's third-party sellers have some China-based cost exposure. They matter to the overall inventories available on the platform. They matter to the advertising business, which is a very high margin business for Amazon. So there are a lot of moving pieces around this business that Amazon sort of has to help us better understand, just in order to help us better understand how do we think about the cost of continuing to grow and take share within e-commerce through this period of uncertainty, because I think they will end up taking share. Just the question is, what's the cost going to be? How much pre-buying of inventory have they been doing? Will they have to do? How much moving around of inventory globally from Europe to perhaps the US will they have to partake in? You're exactly right, Brian, that sort of, I thought that story was just one example of how there is a lot of uncertainty about how they're going to manage this. And tonight we're just sort of looking for a little clarity about sort of some of the rules of the road on the retail business over the rest of the year.